Greetings, everyone. And we have on our Find a Project Spotlight today, the wonderful Neptune, also known as Shades of Oneness. So without further ado, I shall hand you over.
Namaste. Gratitude, SheBear, for having me again. Light and bliss into this space and into these spaces and its facilitations, present and future. So be it, and so it is. The topic today that we will be navigating is decluttering. Decluttering because of where we at globally, where we at planetarily, where we at astrologically, where we at personally, where we at professionally, etc. Things are moving at a faster pace. And to get through what is being presented, what is showing up, we require detangling, unpacking, and sorting out, sorting through unattended stuff, unexpressed stuff, underexpressed stuff, stuff around repressed stuff, suppressed stuff. And these things, it's important to address these unattended bits and bobs because they interfere and influence how we identify stuff, how we perceive stuff, how we decode, decipher, translate, and interpret stuff. And our unaddressed stuff or unaddressed bits and bobs are expressed in our immediate surroundings, our immediate space, our immediate environment. So as a result, or rather more so, like energies attract. So where our mind is, where our heart is, where our consciousness is, we attract stuff like that. We attract individuals with personalities and attitudes similar to that. We attract circumstances, situations, and dynamics that are of similar vibrations, frequencies, etc. It's important to be mindful of that, be present with that, to take responsibility first. A way of taking responsibility with decluttering is by slowing down, breathing, and observing objectively, not attaching or expecting anything, not attaching to anything, not expecting anything from anything or from anyone, not being judge, jury, executioner, punisher, and allowing things to flow whilst you mindfully and objectively observe the flow, observe where it's coming from. Investigate, research where it's coming from, why it's coming from there, and what is required of you. These engagements or types of engagements help us to learn and to remember where we're still stuck, where we're still confused, where we're still diseased, so that we can attend to it, so that we can address it, so that natural flow can occur, and or easier and more clear flow can flow. And that's on us because those navigations are on our side of our fence, and only us are on our side of our fence. With reference to decluttering, it's about letting go of the old so that the new could come in. And again, you wouldn't be able to let go of anything unless you can see if and where you're holding on, if and where you're attaching. And in being able to identify that, then you can action that. Then you can take responsibility and not just let go, work through it, because we are no longer letting go or cutting anything anymore or breaking anything anymore. We are working through it. We are taking responsibility and working through it. And in working through it, we sit with it, we sit in it, we lean into it, we walk into it, we don't run away from it, or we don't run towards it, and we compassionately take it apart to learn what is this, not what society says it is, not what programming, conditioning, indoctrination, trickery, illusion says it is, or not what it is imposed as, what it actually is, where the origin of it, and what can be done, what is required of you, what it requires. And those navigations and engagement require us slowing down, not rushing. It requires us breathing into our bodies, breathing into the present, and then breathing into the activity of observing and studying and learning what it is in order to appropriately action it. Any questions there so far?
I think that's all clear. We haven't got any questions for you.
Cool.
Thank you.
So with the external decluttering, it's about some of it could be about lack, some of it could extend to attachment. And well, attachment is a form of lack. It can be a form of lack or an expression of lack, in that you hold on to things because you might be able, you could use it again. You might be, it may serve a different or better purpose sometime in the future. So you hold on to it and you store it and you put it there and you pile it up and etc. Also, the sentimental reasons, I don't wish to let go of this, because this reminds me of John Doe or Jane Doe. And frankly, we're supposed to be free in the present, not attaching to anything, so that we can flow. So we can flow easy and clearer from the next moment or from the previous moment into the current moment, and from the current moment to the next moment, to the future moment. And it is important to be able to be real with self, to be present with self, to be truthful with self, to be honest with self, to be authentic with self, and to see where, okay, where am I holding on? Why am I holding on? What can be done about that? What is required of me? Because we in a place now, we in a state now of newness. We are in the new world. We are in 5D plus. We no longer in the patriarchal system, the patriarchal age. We no longer under patriarchal rule. We're no longer abiding by patriarchal agenda or anything like that. Obviously, that's a choice, and who's still choosing to do so, that's appropriate. More so, with moving ourselves energetically out of that patriarchal system and more into a balanced system, it requires a more intuitive approach as opposed to an intellectual approach. And it's not a thing where we abandoning the intellect and relying only on the intuition. We ought to be using it in tandem, because we can't walk on one leg. We walk on both feet. We require the physical part of it. We require the spiritual part of it. We require balance, like the yin and yang, masculine, feminine, left, right, up, down. We require balance moving forward. And with all that we've been through, we've been through it for many reasons, and we ought to be looking back on all our experiences, our past conversation, our past engagements, and learning from it. Because everything that we've done, said, our intentions, thought, words, spells, commandments, tone, content, consistency, there's a result of that. And as a result of the result, there's a consequence of the result. We ought to be looking back at the results of everything and learning from those results. And after we learn the results, we integrate the learning from those results. And then we apply those new learnings in the current moment. And hence, we are highly likely to experience a higher vibrating experience. Hence, less stagnation, less clutter, more flow, easier flow, clearer flow. And that's on us, and that's a choice. And there's no right or wrong choice, there's no good or bad choice. Free will dictates we're entitled to choose. Whatever we choose, and that ought to be respected, not accepted. And there's a difference between accepting something and respecting something, please excuse me. So it is our duty and responsibility, to respect, not particularly accept. We see things and we respect it and leave it where it is, not to take it on board, not to make it personal, not to take it personally, not to react to it. And because we were holding on and cluttering our mental, emotional, psychological bodies and fields and states with stuff that was perpetrated against us, stuff that we experienced, those clutter have been inhibiting, interfering with us being present, with us being awesome, and is to be able to see where we're not present, where we're not awesome, and how to reframe that, how to realign that. And slowing down and breathing facilitates that. Being confident about it, about being authentic or aspiring towards authenticity, and being strong enough, confident enough, aware enough to hold our own hands and to guide ourselves through the polarization, the colonization, the dis-ease, the confusion, the engineering, holding our hands through that, nurturing ourselves through that, being our cheerleader through that, being our gurus through that, being our doctors through that, showing up for ourselves whilst we allow ourselves to go through those processes, because it's happening through us, for us, not to us, not at us, and every bit of it is sacred. It is sacred because it is facilitating some sort of development, some sort of soul expansion, some sort of awareness, which brings on different types of confidence and trust. And we require these things to move forward with what is showing up for us, with what we actually own about in this life. Any questions so far?
Like we don't have any questions. We're all up with that. Thank you.
Cool. Moving forward, with reference to decluttering, because of the suppressed, repressed, and unexpressed, underexpressed stuff, it is important that anything that shows up, we be present with it. We allow it to express itself. We allow ourselves to express ourselves. We be gentle and kind with that expression, with self-expression, regardless to how it looks or sounds or smells. It is important for that expression to be expressed in the expressing of that expressions, of those expressions, we learn where we were repressed, where we were suppressed, where we were held back, where we were manipulated, where we were lost, where we were confused, where we were victims, where we were slaves. And in learning that, because we learn it by allowing what is showing up to express itself, and we're learning it by observing it objectively, we're learning it by listening to it, by listening to ourselves, by listening to our tone, content, consistency, by observing ourselves whilst we are expressing, whilst it is being expressed through us or through others. And in learning what it is, we are able to more appropriately engage it, more appropriately action it. And in engaging and actioning it, we are freeing ourselves from being stuck in something that occurred in the past. And that in itself is an aspects of soul retrieval. Being able to see a trauma, a drama, a confusion from that was perpetrated against us or that we perpetrated, and embrace it with compassion and patience and ease and grace, and communicate with it, dialogue with it, as for instance, gratitude. You contributed to where I'm at now. However, you no longer serve my highest and greatest good. You are no longer energetically compatible with where I'm at the moment. You are ugly, and not because I'm being judgmental or pessimistic or because I'm labeling or being negative. Factually, you are ugly because I was drunk on programming, conditioning, indoctrination, trickery, illusions, etc. And that is as a result of an eons long war that we've won and that we're now coming out of. And because I was so drunk and high on separation and division, on being on not knowing that I did not know that I did not know, I neglected and abandoned you. And as a result of me neglecting and abandoning you, me neglecting and abandoning me, you are undeveloped, you are underdeveloped, you were unattended and underattended. And I am aware of these things now. Hence, I am happy to take responsibility and to raise your vibration to the vibration that I naturally am, to bring you out of that ugliness, out of that confusion, out of that cycle into something beautiful. And I am naturally beautiful. So it's really about being able to see it for what it is, to be real with it, and then to reframe it, to realign it to your natural alignment. And your natural alignment is beautiful, is awesome. And we were gifted that beauty and awesomeness from the Almighty Creator, which is aspects of our light. And light cannot be broken, damaged, or destroyed. Light could only shine brighter. And some of us, although our light cannot be damaged or broken or destroyed, we weren't nurturing our light. We weren't shining our light. We were dumbing ourselves down because we were acquiescing and we didn't know. We were giving our power, authority, consent, autonomy away. And being able to see those dynamics and take responsibility and patiently nurture it, compassionately nurture it, and reframe it from something, from confusion to clarity, from something ugly to something beautiful, from dis-ease to ease. And there is no right or wrong way to do it. There's no good or bad about it. However, it's done That's the way it's done. And then based on the results of engaging it, you learn from those results and you apply the learning, you upgrade, you re-engage, and in the re-engagement, you have a higher vibrating experience. And hence the less clutter, the clearer flow, more abundance you attract more abundance, you attract more prosperity, you attract more clarity, you attract dynamics and situations that facilitate stuff that you require in the now moment. And it empowers you to use the results from those experiences, use what you've learned from those experiences to help others, to serve, facilitate, hold space for others, to help the collective in some way, shape, or form. And more so, in the decluttering process, we raise our light quotient. We raise our light quotient. We anchor more light in us, through us, into Mother Earth. And Mother Earth now utilizes that light, that energy, to facilitate, to contribute towards her and the collective's liberation and restoration processes. So the best, easiest way to help the world, to help the collective, is by minding our business, staying in our lane first, slowing down breathing, taking responsibility, shining our light, raising our vibration, raising our light quotient, and anchoring more light into this world, into the space that we occupy, into the community which facilitates and supports us, that we facilitate and support. Anchoring more light into our families, into our bloodlines, anchoring more light into our country. And bit by bit, our light is going to infect others, and then they are going to infect others. And just by us being us, just by us being awesome, just by us being authentic, that light guides others, stimulates others to their authenticity, to their light. And that is how it's done now. We no longer in the patriarchal system where we go on a soapbox and shout and impose and dictate how anybody should live their lives, or how anyone should engage their processes, or anything like that. We guide. We're not teaching and educating anymore. We guide others by being authentic, by being in our lane, by being in our self-sovereignty, by being in our light, and simply shining that by being. We guide others by being our natural, authentic selves. And our natural, authentic selves are naturally awesome. So just by being awesome, you are stimulating someone to be awesome, or you are stimulating the awesomeness in that individual. You're stimulating it out of them, out of their subconscious or unconscious to their conscious. And that's a work in progress. And that is how we, one way, another perspective of addressing decluttering and removing, transmuting, alchemizing, reframing the old into new, into more light, into something that can serve a higher and greater good. Any questions?
Yes, we have Nasara has a hand up.
Sure.
Hi, Neptune. Namaste. Does that include taking no shit? So, for example, I feel I have moved into the best place I've ever been. And I feel that some, let's say some sisters and brothers sometimes take the piss. For example, I've got a neighbour who lives here, and a long time ago she claimed I stole one of her parcels. Anyway, this parcel, this neighbour, the postman keeps coming back and trying to drop off parcels for this neighbour. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking it. I'm really sorry, but I've been there and I'm not taking it. Thank you. Good luck with getting someone who can take that. So I've been saying that, but the postman keeps coming back with a parcel for this neighbour. And I'm like, on my conscience, I'm like, am I doing the right thing here? And I really do feel in my heart that I am doing the right thing by saying no, because if I said yeah, maybe I'd then be stuck in that vibrational frequency. And by saying no, I can then therefore move up and evolve from where I was. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing.
Appropriate. There's no right or wrong about it.
Okay.
It is, we are in that place to take no shite from anyone. And it is not really about anyone taking the piss. It's really someone can only take the piss if we allow them to. So we're reframing that John Doe is being John Doe, and I respect John Doe being John Doe over there. I am not bringing that into my space. That is not my shite. I know what my shite smells like. That doesn't smell like my shite. So let me respectfully leave that over there and communicate my authenticity gracefully. So great, being able to communicate your authenticity gracefully, clearly, coherently, directly, firmly is the key, because John Doe is entitled to piss wherever John Doe chooses to piss. Free will. We respect the free will. We're not accepting it. It is not okay. It's appropriate. And keep it over there. It only affects you if you allow it to affect you. It only affects you if you bring it over into your lane. And that's a you thing. It's not a John Doe thing. It's a you thing. So yeah, well, yeah. Does that address your? That
makes me feel a lot better, because it keeps coming back, and I'm like, am I doing the right thing here? Or is this a lesson that I need to learn by, keep giving? But in my heart, I feel like I was doing the best thing. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Boundaries is really, it could be a lesson in boundaries. I mean, among the other lessons that can be extrapolated from that, boundaries, being able to identify your boundaries and not waver on your boundaries. Honor your boundaries, be loyal to your boundaries, and say, no gratitude, not gratitude, no. This is where, this is the boundary here, gratitude. And you keep it moving.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Can I add to that, please, Neptune?
Excuse me?
Can I add to that, please, Neptune?
Yes, please.
Sort of, I'm a helper, as you know, and I help a lot of people, but just lately I find there's lots of people coming along that practically want me to do everything for them. And it's a hard balance to take, because yeah, I want to help them, but I don't want to disempower them. So there's many things that have cropped up, and it's sort of quite interesting. Now, what little bit of information can I give them to help them empower themselves? So that's what I'm having to do, with a lot of these things.
Right.
It does take a lot to realize that if we're doing everything for everybody else, of course, we're depleting from our own cup, and we're disempowering them. So, yeah, quite an interesting dilemma.
I hear you. Gratitude for sharing. A thing in that is, we know we're here to serve. We are capable. We have been doing it. So the thing about it is, boundaries, being able to identify boundaries, your boundary first, because charity begins at home. You ought to safeguard yourself first. You ought to put your mask on first in the plane. So the individual lots supposed to be coming up at the moment because the world is going through an accelerated detox, purging, reframing, realigning, integrating into a new era, which is a new energetic, a new energy. So in that process, loads are going to come up mentally, emotional, psychological, sexual, etc. All sorts of stuff supposed to be showing up, coming up at the moment that has not been expressed, that has not been attended to. So that's reasonable. It doesn't mean that John Doe or Jane Doe is right or wrong or good or bad. It's just something they're working through. Some soul lesson, soul contract, karmic or energetic lesson and energetic contract, something from present or past life, some ancestral, something is showing up to be addressed. And that aside, the thing is to learn that individual's language, to learn the language of their trauma, because each individual has their own language. Their own language is based on their own personal, intimate experiences, their trauma, their attended and unattended trauma, the attended and unattended dis-ease, the attended and not yet attended confusion, etc. So the thing is to listen, slow down, breathe, listen with our hearts and our ears to learn what is the language being communicated here, and to find, alchemize a beautiful, graceful, clear, coherent way to mirror and reflect that back onto them without dis-easing them, without shutting them down, without disempowering them, without condescending or alienating, compromising, or disrespecting anyone or anything. In learning, in observing and studying what they're on about, you will learn what it is at some point. And in learning, in observing them communicating, you also observing receptivity, how receptive they are, how ready they are to receive what you ought to administer, impart, share to them with them. And in that, you will know what to say, how to say it, its content, etc. And frankly, whatever it is, it ought to encompass passion, compassion, patience, ease, and grace, because we all are navigating dis-eases at the moment. Does that address that, SheBear?
Definitely. Yes. I tend to be picking up on their anxiety as well. So I'm going into like what I call official mode. So like quite concise, condensed, and so on. Yes, answer this one. I don't need to hear the waffle sort of routine. So yeah, I suppose you know, we've all got to stand in our power and just be us. And if I'm sort of saying, no, just throw little bits of data at me, don't blind me with too much information, then I can get the job done quicker, or can help you get the job done quicker. And again, that's respecting me and not having to hear loads of waffle.
Appropriate. Complementing that, two things. One, with reference to boundaries, to communicate, hey, this is how I operate, this is how I engage stuff, this is how I would prefer stuff, this is how I rather stuff, this is how I would like stuff, please. That's one way, one thing. That aside, it's important, please, to be mindful of where we are at the moment. Some of us have been really on the shadow work. Some of us have been really, really consistent with the spiritual development, intuitive reframing, impulse control, personal development, the shadow work. Some of us have been doing a lot of shadow work. And as a result, our senses, our sensibilities are a lot more developed than we can acknowledge or appreciate. And as a result, our empathic or intuitive nature picks up on stuff from others, picks up on stuff from our families, from our colleagues, from the collective, and the mental mind interprets that as an us thing, and then we react to that. It's not an us thing. it's because our senses are so expanded now, our bandwidth has expanded, and we're picking up on a lot more stuff than we would have done 10 years ago. And it is not ours, and we ought to be able to self-dialogue through that and remind ourselves, mentor ourselves, hey, yes, this is different, this is deceasing, this is this is that. However, it's not me. That's not my authentic state. That's not mine. I am choosing to not react to that. I'm choosing to not take it personally, to not make it personal. I'm choosing to not take any ownership of it. I'm choosing to respect it for where it is and work from within my lane, from within my boundaries, from within my self-sovereignty, work through it, because I am going to learn something from that. I'm going to alchemize, I'm going to reframe that in such a way where that could teach me something, that could help me develop, that could help me see things clearer, that could facilitate a different level of confidence, a different level of clarity, whereby I could help facilitate whole space for someone else. Does that address that? Does that? Any further questions?
A statement. Been awesome so far.
Luke?
Blessings.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I didn't get what you're saying, Luke. Did you? I just heard
Yeah,
you.
it's just a statement that it's been very, very good. You know, spending the time listening to exactly this light at this time is so relevant. Yeah, so aligned in terms of we're very much refocusing on that, and a number of the practices, and yeah, just think it's so on point, and appreciate your light. Thank you.
Pleasure. Namaste.
Namaste.
Any other questions, concerns, comments, complaints? Is there anything that anyone has been struggling with reference to attachment or expectation or any sort of unexpressed, underexpressed bits and bobs that they would like to, that they're confident about sharing, which may help themselves and others at the moment?
If you have, then just unmute yourself and ask away.
Yes, hello. Namaste, Neptune. How's everybody? Hello. I'm sorry, I was a little bit late coming in. I do apologize. So I missed a little bit in the beginning. I was hearing a few things, but I probably missed the very beginning. So yes, I have a lot of things that I'm doing my best to declutter at the moment. And I'm letting go of lots of things, clothes and odds and ends. I have someone helping a little bit. I am finding it really tough. I think for me, it's going to be in stages. So like I've done the first lot, well, nearly completed the first lot in a few days. Then I would do a second lot, like a second layer, if you like. But I cannot see me letting go of all the stuff yet. It's too soon. I can't do it. It has to be in layers. I mean, do you think that sounds okay? For me to be doing it in layers?
That's appropriate, Denise. Light and blessing to your processes, please. That's appropriate, Denise. It is slowing down and one step at a time, one moment at a time, one item at a time, one bite of the slice of cake at a time. Well, not one slice of cake at a time. You might choke.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that anymore. So one bite at a time, please. Yeah. And
Okay,
enjoying it. If it's not enjoyable, disengage realign with your awesomeness, and then
Okay,
engage with your awesomeness.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
That sounds good. Thank you very much.
A pleasure. Namaste.
Namaste.
Any other questions?
Louise has put a message here. She says boundaries are coming up for her too. She's seeing things in a different perspective, in a higher frequency.
Beautiful. Well done, Louise. And that's where we are. Because all these astrological alignments that we've been having over the past 2 years, and that has been accelerated, they inundate us. In some instances, they pummel us with more photons, with more plasma, to accelerate our evolution, to accelerate our freedom, to accelerate our return to authenticity, to accelerate our return to light, to accelerate our return to clear, natural, coherent clarity. And in so, everything is shaken out of its mold. All the shackles are being broken. We are being provoked to engage differently. The definition for insanity is doing the same thing and expecting new or different results. At where we are at the moment with all these new photons and plasma and all these types of cosmic energies, it is facilitating our awakening from our subconscious and unconscious to the conscious. It's facilitating and triggering and provoking stuff from our superconscious down into our conscious. And that in itself, those ascension and descension processes, they facilitate different types of purging and detoxing, different types of transmutations, alchemizations. They facilitate different types of reframing and realigning. And in so, we learn our boundaries. We learn what we prefer, what we no longer prefer. We know what we're having and what we definitely not having. And that is necessary because these dynamics, these situations, they help us to learn and remember our authenticity and to integrate and embrace more of our authenticity so that we can be more, so that we can serve more, so that we can hold space for ourselves better, so that we can hold space for the collective better. So beautiful. Well done, Louise. And the key is to slow down, mindfully slow down, and consciously breathe. Breathe through it, breathe in it, breathe with it. Naz, your hands up?
Yeah, you mentioned plasma.
Absolutely.
And sorry, did I jump in there?
No.
Okay. Louise was just agreeing with Neptune. Absolutely. She says, just listening to you was releasing an emotion in me. He, which is fantastic.
As typical Louise. Big hugs, Louise.
Over to you, Naz.
Yeah, you mentioned plasma. I'm not sure what that is. And I read somewhere recently that the universe is made up of 99% plasma. So
it's a type of energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a form of energy. And we all, it's a form of energy. And grant mindful that we are energy. We are different types of energy. We are different expressions, different structures of energy. Plasma is a different type of energy. Like photons, different type of energy.
So also I heard someone donating some of his plasma.
All right, so that kind of plasma now, in the blood itself, the blood is made up of different things, the white blood cells, the red blood cells, and plasma. So it could be that plasma they are referring to.
All right, so there's different types of plasma.
Well, yeah. But the one in the blood, the compound or element or whatever it is in the blood, and well, plasma
but
from...
Ultimately, it's still energy, isn't it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Right. Thank you for explaining that, because I felt a bit like I
Blood, no blood, no blood over here.
yeah, great. Thank you.
Any further questions, clarities, comments, concerns, complaints?
I think everyone is all
Cool. Well, then they could,
settled. I'm happy with that. Thank you, Neptune.
good. So we could close with everyone being present with yourself, being present with what shows up through you, what shows up for you, what is presented externally. All of it is mirroring and reflecting something sacred that we require now. If we didn't require it, the Almighty Creator, our ancestors, our teams would not have brought it in our faces, in our spaces now. It is important, and it can only serve us because fortunately, we are no longer victims and slaves. We are able to, as students, alchemize it, transmute it, reframe it, realign it into a lesson, into something developmental, into something nutritious, into something that will serve our higher or a higher and greater good. So whatever it is, it's appropriate, it's necessary, it's inescapable. Please be mindful of not using your energy, your life force to control it, to micromanage it, to dictate it. No, allow it to flow. And in its flow, you objectively observe it, study it and learn it to know, okay, how do I incorporate this to develop me, to serve, to facilitate, to hold space. It's important to be extra gentle with our awesome selves. Please, we have been through a lot, guys. We have been through a lot. A lot has been projected onto us, perpetrated against us, and it is important to not repeat that, to be our cheerleaders, to show up for ourselves, to be there for ourselves, to cuddle ourselves, to nurture ourselves. Those things are priority now, because everything that we have not attended to, that is underattended, unattended, neglected, abandoned, and forsaken, all of it, the multiverse is throwing it at us now. Because we are ready, we are strongest, we are the strongest we've ever been, we're the most present we've ever been, we're the most awesome we've ever been, we're the best versions of ourselves. We are ready for more. And to access to that more, we require attending to the things that hasn't yet been attended to. To take responsibility and get our leg to stop hopping on one foot in the physical alone, which we've been doing, which we were indoctrinated to do, to take responsibility and not do that anymore because it was not comfortable, and to walk on 2 feet, walk with the physical and the spiritual feet, one step at a time. It goes hand in hand, the physical and the non-physical, the metaphysical or the spiritual. It goes hand in hand. We ought the emphasis that we've been giving the physical, our external life, we ought to be giving our internal life, our internal self, our spirituality, our spirit, our soul, our superconscious, our higher selves, our oversoul, whatever that is identified as, whatever you accept that as, that requires a lot of nurturing and nourishment and development from us, please. And then it's supposed to work your spirit, working with the physical, and then there is easy, clear flow. When those things are in balance, you don't really action anything. Your desire, it manifests. You attract it. And that is the way forward. That is a choice. That is the engagement of free will. There is no wrong or right or good or bad in that. however, wherever, whenever you choose to do it, that's the way it's done, because there's only one of you. You look at the results, you learn from the results, you apply the learnings, and you keep it moving on, literally. So guys, be awesome with your awesome selves, please. That is priority. Awesome because you're not only that you're worth it and you deserve it. That is being loyal to yourself. If you're not being awesome to yourself, you're a hypocrite and you're not being loyal. So no more of that. Let's no longer be hypocrites. Let's be loyal to ourselves. Let's be loyal to our authenticity. Let's be loyal to our truth and not stray from that, not abandon that, not forsake that. Let's not do that anymore, please. Let's mentor ourselves. Let's be our own therapists, our own counselors, our own guides, our own doctors, our own gurus. Let's do that now. Let's try something different. We've been doing, engaging it a certain way all these years. Let's try something different now, please. Perspective, choice, free will. Not an imposition. So guys, gratitude for being here. Gratitude for everyone and everything that contributed to this space and these spaces now. Gratitude to the contributors and the contributions, guys. Sincere gratitude, please. Light and bliss. Namaste, Bimo.
Thank you.
Namaste. Namaste. Thank you so much, Neptune. Thank you. Thank you.
SheBear. Thank
You,
you.
Neptune. Take
Gratitude,
care.
SheBear. Gratitude.
Again to your
Namaste.
son.
all.
SheBear. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.